Welcome to the Where I Am podcast. We're your hosts, Destiny Pitts
and Erika.
We're two best friends on a mission to create a safe space to have honest mental health discussions. We tackle topics like perfectionism, how your mental health affects your finances, workplace burnout, and dealing with generational trauma. We also encourage women to embrace their unique journeys. It's easy to feel like you're behind or to get discouraged by life setbacks, but we promise you're exactly where you need to be.
So make sure to join us every Wednesday and follow us at Where I Am Podcast. If you want us to discuss a specific topic, make sure to email us at whereiampodcast@gmail.com. And if you love what you hear, don't forget to share and leave a review.
Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of our podcast called Where I Am Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Destiny Pitts.
And I'm Erika.
So we've been friends for over 26 years. We met each other in elementary school, so a long time ago, and we stayed friends throughout junior high and high school. We played in the band together, and
oh my gosh, the band.
I know, we played the clarinets and had such good times.
The talent show that we both danced in.
I don't know. She's trying to be funny because she's a good dancer, and she's like, "Do you want to dance with me in a talent show?" And I have no rhythm. Like, yeah. It was really embarrassing.
We killed it.
I'll never forget it. She was really strict on me as well. Like, I was not living up to her expectations. But we're still here.
I don't remember that.
We're still here. Sorry, I have a little bit of a sore throat, but we're trying to stick to our New Year's goal of launching this podcast in January. So we also remained friends throughout our college years. And then now here in our early 30s, we've been through so much, and we see ourselves a lot talking about mental health and how we've gotten through certain things, experiences that we've had in our childhood, things that we've gone through in relationships or friendships or even in the workplace. And so the more that we have started to talk about those things, we thought that it was a good time for us to create a podcast so that we could have a platform with other women to talk about mental health topics. So that is why we are here today.
Yes, and Destiny, like how hard it was for me to show my emotions or be, and that's definitely part of my journey as well, is being more emotionally available. And I definitely couldn't explore that option without this podcast or without you. So trying to embrace the journey myself. So this is very challenging for myself. So
she's dragging me along.
So if you've ever realized yourself that it's hard to express your emotions, you're not alone. I'm definitely that type of person as well.
And so just to expand on that a little bit more, we both kind of found ourselves in the last few months searching for different things within our careers. We both had left our jobs, and we're having times where we were sitting there just trying to help each other to what was going to be our next step. Like, what are we really going to do? Do we want to stay on the same path, or what should be the next step for us in life? And so that's another thing that brought us here onto just being able to talk about things that we often share with each other.
Yeah, and to this day right now, I still don't know what my next move is going to be. So I'm definitely just trying to do a lot of self-reflection and also being okay with not knowing my next move, and just really being grateful for what I do have and the relationships I do have as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. I left my job without anything lined up, which that's very unlike me. And I just felt like it was time to make a change. I also have a 3-year-old son, and so I didn't work for 6 months. And as I'm sure you can all imagine, if you've ever done that or if you've ever been laid off, it can be really stressful trying to figure out how are you going to make things work and looking for your next position. And the job market is particularly difficult right now. So there's just a lot of stress. So I just wanted to be able to share that because a lot of us are going through the same issues and experiencing the same things. We just don't always speak on it and say it. And that's an important part of what we're trying to do.
Yes, and we just what I also realize is that you can't do, you shouldn't have to do your journey by yourself. And so, like, your friendships, your family, your romantic relationships can definitely help you along through your journey. And you shouldn't have to feel like you're alone or that you have to do things alone, because it's so much better when you have the support around you, or even just the slightest encouragement from your friends or family.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You make it easier. Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and it's just really great to see. I was afraid to tell some of my family members and friends that I left my job, just wondering what are they going to say. And
Yeah.
everybody was super positive and really great. So you never know. You never know how people are going to react, especially the people that are really in your corner.
Yeah. And I think, like, on 2020, a lot of people had a lot of time to themselves, and so a lot of people reflect on what really matters and what really didn't matter. And I think a lot of people went through that self-reflection, so I think that's
Yeah.
kind of played a part in this podcast as well.
To kick off our first episode, we want to ask the question, do you love yourself enough? It seems very simple, but as we look back and started to think about our past relationships, friendships, and even jobs that we were in, we accepted certain behaviors that we shouldn't have. It's important to reflect in each season of your life and think about, are the people that I'm allowing into my space and the experiences that I'm having really reflective of a person who loves themselves? So we reached out to a few of our friends and they provided their perspectives, because we think that it's important, of course, to have multiple viewpoints on a topic. We'll hear from them first, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about our personal experiences.
I'm going to choose whenever I was in cosmetology school. I just wasn't putting in the time and the effort to be great. I knew I was passionate about it. I knew that was something that I wanted to do and something that I enjoyed doing and learning about. But I just wasn't putting the time and the effort in. I was real lazy about it. I was always comparing myself to everyone else and always telling myself that, like, I'm never going to have clientele like her or him. I'm never going to be in a salon as good as he or she is. And I even stopped going to school for like a month, and my cosmetology teacher reached out to me and asked me, if everything was okay. And I was just in a really like lazy place in my life then, and I had to make myself get up and go to school. I did finish. I did get my license, passed all my state boards. I am working in the industry now and I love it. And I've learned to like not compare myself to everybody, because there is, something that I did learn and like was told throughout my life. And I guess I really understand it better now, is that there is going to be someone that is better than you. There is going to someone that knows how to just make it happen better than you. And that's okay, because you're not them and they're not you. And you can, instead of comparing yourself to them, learn from them. Ask them for advice, because they will, 9 times out of 10, they will tell you and they will help you and they will give you pointers and tips on how to perfect your craft. And that is something that I've learned. And I do turn to, her name is Alex. She is so sweet. She's so great. I always turn to her for questions. And she is always 100% in giving me tips and pointers. And in my career field, that is whenever I seen that I didn't love myself, because I was always comparing myself to other people instead of trying to learn from other people.
There was a time that I realized I didn't love myself at all. I was in a relationship very young. When you're young, you feel like you're in love. You feel like sometimes in certain situations when you're not being treated properly or you're not treating like you should be in a relationship. You feel like the world is against you. You feel like everyone is against you to justify being not treated well. It was times of having multiple infidelity situations. There was no trust. It was completely broken. Constant manipulation, constant lies. And I felt like that what was normal. I felt like going back, I needed to have some sort of loyalty to be like, this is, we've had years, 6 years of being together. I made excuses time after time after time. There was a situation to where he was moving out of state and I was basically going to follow him, was going to pack up my life, was going to leave my friends, was going to leave my family, and go start a life with this person. All to find out during that process of him moving and me getting my ducks in a row for me to uproot my life, he was flying multiple women out to where he was currently trying to live. And that was the breaking point for me. I was literally going to leave my family, leave my friends, change my life, be by myself, give up everything for this person just for him to completely, at that time, wreck my world. So that was the breaking point for me of realizing, you know what, I don't love myself. I'm not giving myself what I should be giving myself. I don't deserve any of this that's going on. And I deserve to have somebody who loves me, who respects me, and who should be a mature adult who's in a loving relationship. So that was the point for me to where I felt like, you know what, get it together. You don't need this. You don't have any children. You're not married. This is just a relationship. You can easily just end it and be done. Yes, I eventually gave myself the love that I deserve. I ended that relationship after 6 years, back and forth. And then here we are today. I met my husband. I have kids now. And it is a completely opposite situation of what I was in before.
The big question is, do you love yourself? Just that whole journey of loving yourself or finding the love within yourself. What
Right.
does that bring to you, or what kind of
Yeah, I think that for
discussion?
me, um, I really at times in my life thought that I did fully accept and love myself, but I had to look at how I was being treated. And
Mm-hmm.
that had to do with me. It really came up a lot in my relationships. The first relationship that I was ever in at 18, I was with someone who didn't have their own job, couldn't keep a job for very long, whereas I was working, retail, and he didn't stay in school. That's how we met, and I was continuing to go on with school, and he didn't have a car, so it was kind of a little one-sided. We would
Mm-hmm.
go on dates, and I'm driving and paying for things, but still, that was back
Yeah.
in my earlier years, so I was just like, I'm just so in love. And then
Right.
now, as I look back on it, I can feel that I didn't really wasn't able to assess the situation and think about, is this okay? And what could have been easily just a 6-month relationship went on for 3 years. And I think if you really fully love yourself and you know how to set your own boundaries and expectations, then you really are able to take those situations, pull them apart, and understand how you should move forward more quickly. Instead of sometimes, sorry to say it, but wasting time, it can feel like once you look back on it.
Right. Yeah, and I think like what I discovered on my own path of how to kind of discover whether or not, like, if you love yourself, is, for me, it was removing distractions, like, going out, like happy hour, or like hanging out with your coworkers. Traveling was a big distraction for me, because even when we like traveled to like Cuba, or we went to Tennessee, um, I still, had to go back to reality, and that was something I was always avoiding. Traveling was something that I used to avoid, sitting through my own issues. And then another thing is just your work life as well. That's if you're overworked, or maybe you feel like you're paid unfairly, or just your personal development or your professional development, like how that really impacted your how you feel about yourself or your self-love.
Yeah, and I agree with the distractions. It's easy, especially right now with the technology, to be distracted. Like I find that, like you said, with travel, you can book a trip to go anywhere, and then when you come back home, you still have those same issues. Or we
Hmm.
have this device in our hand 24/7 where
Yeah.
we're easily able to see what everybody else is doing, the exciting things that they're accomplishing, the trips that they're taking, the houses that they're buying. And even though we may be happy and excited for them, you can easily compare your life and think, well, why
Yeah.
haven't I gotten there yet? Why am I not on that same page? When really we need to just be focusing more on our own journey and honestly focusing more on what's important to us, because sometimes the things that we may be looking at, maybe those things are not even that important to us, but we're just seeing that, oh, okay, wow, this is where this person's at, should I be doing that in my life? And maybe it's a
Right.
no, maybe you don't need to be worried about that. And so yeah, like taking all those things into consideration can really help you examine, do I really love myself right now in this moment?
Right. And even like myself, coming from living in the Dallas area to coming back home, that was a big, usually when you think of that when you're younger, you try to avoid coming back home because you just spend your whole, when you're growing up, you don't want to come back home. But now that I'm back in my hometown or in our hometown, I realize how much I needed to start from ground zero just to rebuild that foundation, and also be able to really reflect on the question of self love, and if I how I can um, how I can really love myself, or and how I can show that with the relationships around me as well.
And I think that even though I haven't moved back home, definitely going back home has always helped me become more grounded. Just
Hmm.
being around my friends and family, going back to the home that I was brought to when I was first born, that my grandma still lives in, and being able to just really take myself back to a time when I was a little girl. I think that a lot of healing, you find that you're going back to your childhood and thinking about what are the things that I enjoyed before I had so much pressure on me, before I was thinking about what does the world think about me, and I need to be this to be successful. It just always helps me get grounded and think about that little girl, and so I think it's really important, and people can talk down about people that go back home, but I think that it probably will be a really big part of your journey and your growth.
Yeah, and it also helped me. It made it easier to remove the distractions. Like I said earlier, like when you're in the city, it's easy for you to go to this bar or go to this happy hour with coworkers or friends. And so when you're in a smaller town and you don't have that option, it's you have no other option but to sit down and actually do the work that actually needed to be done, at least for me. So that's definitely helped me in my own journey.
Do you feel like right now that you love yourself?
I feel like it's almost an everyday type of um how do you say it, like everyday type of choice, I guess, or
Mm.
everyday type of journey that I have to take. I definitely, when I was in the Dallas area and I wasn't in a healthy relationship, I was starting to gain weight, and I didn't. I stopped enjoying taking photos, like being in photos, and I didn't really like my job either, and I didn't like the relationship I was in. So all that combined really brought me to a really dark place where I just, I don't know, I couldn't, I, I knew I needed a fresh start, but I didn't know what my next move would be. So
Right.
now that I'm moving back home, and again, like I said, some people do need to start from ground zero, and I think moving back helped me help again that foundation. So I started going to the gym, and I didn't realize how much effort it takes for your health, but it definitely goes a long way when you start putting effort into your health, how much
Mhm.
that definitely impacts your state of mind, your emotions, and just like your overall mental health as well. Like being in the gym and making sure that you're consistent is probably the hardest thing to date, is being consistent and believing that I'm worth being healthy. That for me was is a big thing.
I consistency with the gym is really hard for me. I think the most I've been consistent is last year when I ran a half marathon, when I had to train, and I was just really thinking, I do not want to fail. And so, I mean, we went with our other great friend, and I ran with her, and we would run around the neighborhood, and then we did it, and that was great. But just kind of that really determination, and I felt great afterwards thinking that I was able to do something, like you said, for your health, and just
Yeah.
to prove to yourself that you can, do what you set your mind to. And so that was really a great thing for me. I think anytime you're implementing something that's gonna be better for your health, and that's really important. But I'm still working on going to the gym every day. That's really hard.
Yes, and like I think like for us being from like a small town, like I think we didn't have a not to say that we didn't have examples, or like we kind of still had to figure out a lot of things such as self-love, and um health is a big thing that our families never really talked about, or at least my family didn't.
I think that my household for sure growing up was the household that had a lot of, junk food, and we had a candy drawer and all kind of fun things. My mom was always the fun mom. So now as I'm getting older, having to really zero in and think about what is best for my health? What do I need to be eating? I mean, and that is a part of, do you love yourself? What you're putting into your
Right,
body? What are you drinking? And it's not a linear path for me. It's not that I see some people that they change their lifestyle and it's just they're all in 100%, and that's amazing, but I ebb and flow. Sometimes for several weeks I'm eating great, and then I'm really stressed and I'm eating a lot of candy and sweets cuz I
right,
love sweets so much, and I break out a little bit, and and that's okay, and that's part of the journey too. That's the important thing. It's not just about being 100% or being perfect, because that doesn't exist, but it's about
right,
kind of finding your community and having people that can push you to be better and that can hold you accountable.
right. And that comes with like the relationships around you, even if like, and that's what I'm learning as well on my self love journey, is that I don't have to feel fulfilled or worthy by having a romantic partner. I can feel fulfilled with the relationship that I have with myself, and the relationship I
Mm.
have with my friends or my family. And that for me helps me just build a more confidence in myself, and just being knowing that I'm able to be supportive for my family or for my friends as well in their journey.
Yeah, I think that probably will lead you to a better relationship whenever you do feel like you don't necessarily need the person. You want the person there, but you don't need them. It's not good to say
Right.
that they're your other half, or that, like you make up this puzzle piece. You need to be your full self without another person.
Right. And they said like there's a saying where it says the love of your life is the love of your I saw on TikTok is the love of your life, and that was a big
Wait, what is
quote
it? The
for
love of your life is the love of your life?
the love of your life is the love of your life. meaning like your true love is like loving the life of your own life, not your life with
Mm.
someone else or the life with whoever or wherever. And I think that was a big quote for me that was I guess you can say the breakthrough, to know that the true journey is the journey within myself, and not that I have to feel fulfilled or lovable with someone else or with something else or somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was just having a conversation with my cousin about being content. How I feel like sometimes I just don't feel fully content with life. You're always trying to get to the next thing and not fully celebrating all that you've accomplished. Whether it's, okay, I just got this degree, or I just got this promotion, or I got this award. It never really feels to satisfy me fully, and that's an important thing to recognize, because that's something that I need to really think about. What is it inside of me that's not allowing me to be fulfilled by the blessings that I already have in my life? And that's an important part of my self-love journey. And I've just started thinking about that. What is it that I can do to allow myself to really be happy in what I have right now, just as it is? If I couldn't change anything about my house, my car, like my clothes, anything, like, can I just be happy with that? And I just, it's something that I'm working on. For anyone listening, in case you're thinking, what can I do right now to understand if I love myself enough? I think that there are a few things that you can do in order to really sit down and look at your own personal situation.
Yeah, so they are questions that you can ask yourself just to kind of sit down and reflect on where you are in your journey, as far as where you are at and your self love journey. So, the first question that you can ask yourself: are your habits pushing you towards or away from your goals? In my instance, my habit was, when I was looking for jobs, I was just basing off of the income or the salary that I was going to get. I wasn't looking to see if it aligns with the goals that I wanted to feel fulfilled in that role. So for me, that was something that I reflect on, that I needed to work on. What about you, Destiny?
Yeah, I think habits just in different areas in my life too. I've really had to think about, like we were talking about with food, what am I eating? How often am I actually moving my body? I try to implement different things, whether it's yoga or going for a run or going to the gym sometimes. So I think also like my Apple Watch can help me track those things. So that's just like a fun way to be able to see if I hit that streak for the day. So there's a lot of ways that you can kind of track your habits, whether it's apps or just if you have your own personal journaling system to make sure that you're staying on track.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in, like, I think you mentioned like social media, like sometimes it could push you towards your goals, and then also it could probably hinder you from your goals as well. So I think kind of um, seeing if social media, how that makes you feel, like if it makes you feel like it's not motivating you, or it puts you down, or feels like you're not where you should be, then
Mhm.
that's something that you need to maybe back away, or maybe unfollow some of those people that make you, some of the pages that make you feel that way. And then the next question is: do things you do only provide temporary happiness? So, such as what I said earlier, is for me, it was travel. I would just book a flight, and I would be so happy on on those trips. But when I came on the last day, I knew that I had to come back to my to home, and that is where I really needed to do the work, is when I was at home. What about for you?
Yeah, definitely taking some of those trips with you, and we had a lot of fun. And then you
Yes.
get back home and you still have your responsibilities to tend to, and so just making sure that just making sure that you're dealing with whatever issues that you have and not expecting a trip or something like that is going to wipe out any problems. They're still going to be waiting for you.
Yep. And then the last question is, are my friendships secure, stable, or mutually beneficial? Just meaning, is that friendship or relationship, you know, being supportive, or are we having deep conversations, or are we working towards the same path, or how can we help each other? For me, with us, just talking on our friendship, just being able to having a supportive space to talk about whatever issues I'm going through, big or small, being able to feel comfortable talking to you about it has definitely helped me even get to this place. Being able to be vulnerable, which I definitely shared with you, is a really hard thing for me to do.
Yeah, I think that we've come a long way. There's some of these conversations that we definitely didn't have when we were younger that we've now been able to open up about stuff that's happened when we were teens or in our 20s that we've been friends for so many years and have never
Right.
discussed. And so those friendships are really important. And I feel like I've done a good job in my personally in my life now to all the friends that I have. I feel like that they are good people that I can talk to and we can
Right.
have a good time together, but then we can also lean on each other whenever we're having difficult times. And I think that you really have to examine those relationships and see if those people are going to be around for you.
Right. And you also have to be kind of approachable to maybe those who don't have friendships or even family members that we are definitely blessed to have, like supportive or open to have those conversations. So I think that's definitely something that I had to work on as well.
Those are some good things that you can all think about in terms of just assessing where you are at, no matter your age, no matter what you're going through. So we want to end it on a light note on talking about answering a few questions that involve our friendship since you guys are still getting to know us. So we have a few questions and I'll start asking Erika. So,
Oh no, I'm nervous.
what made you gravitate towards me as a friend?
I think what gravitated me towards you is just you're so intellectual
Mm.
and and that
I was
always
like, don't
amazed
hype me
me
up, girl.
because I was honestly not the best in school, but knowing that I had you there to help me, and you would always hype me up too, so you were like, you got it, girl. So
Mm.
just knowing someone intellectual like you, just being supportive, and you're also hilarious as well.
Thank you
So
so much. People are
those
surprised. I'm not saying I'm hilarious, but there's some people that are like, I didn't think you would be funny. I'm like, okay,
that probably
dang.
is, yes, I think that is a
I'm
big
like, all
surprise. I
right.
can definitely see that. You are very funny though. So what
I
about you?
appreciate it. What made me gravitate towards you? You're so bubbly and fun. Like especially when we were as kids, you just had this really lightheartedness about you and that you were
Mm.
always just inviting and loving and I really love that. And you're still like
Oh,
that now. Like you are the friend that's just easy to talk to. You don't easily get upset or have a negative
yeah.
outlook. We just always have a good time. So that is what makes me always want to spend time and be around you for sure.
Yeah, we definitely balance each other out for sure. For sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, so the next one. What about my style is undeniably me?
Ooh, your style.
Go ahead and say I'm a fashionista. She's like, girl, please.
um, I definitely would say a, I have to bring like a SpongeBob reference. So like a
Don't play
striped
me.
sweater.
Don't play. I like a little sweater. This one's a little
Yes,
worn, but
the
it feels
sweater.
complete.
Yeah, well, because like I know you're like you're a very cozy person, so definitely a sweater would definitely is like a staple
I
of
don't know
yours
if
for
it's a
sure.
compliment or not. You told me this the last time you were visiting. You're like,
A
you're very
cozy.
cozy.
Everyone
Isn't
loves being
cozy
cozy.
like cozy's like you like to be in the house with a blanket?
No, cozy means like you're comfortable, you're warm, you're like just chill.
All right, I'll take it.
I love that.
It's true, but you know. You're super chic. You're so good at putting together outfits and coming into my closet and finding like the random pieces that I have and making an outfit out of them.
And
you're
also
good at
finding my
going.
pieces that I left at your house.
I know. And you're great at going into thrift stores. So Erika loves to thrift shop. I am not a thrifter because I want to go into a store and see all the sizes laid out. I don't want to have to do a scavenger hunt. She goes in there and picks out the best pieces and has me try them on. So she's just super, chic. Like she always has a good outfit.
Oh, thank you.
Always.
And I also just love to I love to see you just feel confident in what you wear. So me helping you with any outfit, and that also just brightens my day.
Oh, yeah, I'm very much earth tones or all wear navy, which I think is cool. We should all have our own style. But she's like, no, you need to wear this bright color. But she's always right. She's never led me astray. She's never had me looking crazy. So
no, never. I'll never make you look crazy.
Yeah. And then lastly, what food are you bringing me after a particularly hard day?
That's easy. Bring you some wings, flat specifically.
Please do.
And some ribs.
Okay, see all the vegetarians and the vegans out here, y'all, I'm sorry.
And salad with a lot of dressing.
She tells this story about how when we were younger, I made her a salad. She never told me when we were younger. We were in high school. And she told me a few years ago, she goes, the first salad you made me had a lot of dressing, a lot of cheese, and a little bit of lettuce. But I've gotten better. I haven't made her another salad, but I go to Salada and I do eat veggies, guys.
Yes, you always used to pair it with a Dr. Pepper on the side as well.
Listen, see, okay, I'm talking about health, and you're over here. I don't drink sodas anymore. You're trying to make me look bad. I'm like, I need to have a healthy lifestyle. These are my favorites, but I don't eat them every day. Okay,
right.
Woof. All right. She doesn't talk about any of the other stuff I eat or drink. Just the bad. Okay, so she's really into sushi, and I was never into sushi, but she loves some sushi. So I'm gonna say that that's what I would bring her at the end of a long day.
Yes, and those breakfast tacos.
Oh yeah, there's breakfast tacos that she likes from around the corner at my
Houston
house.
Probably has better Mexican food than Dallas. That I will admit.
That would be it. That's funny. Well, I think that that's the end of our very first episode. You got through it.
Yes, I did. We got through it for sure. It's been a journey for us just to get to this point.
I know, yeah, just trying to make sure that everything's ready to go and planning. And thank you for bearing through with my sore throat. It should be better by the next episode. But we are happy to have started this and hopefully build a community.
Yes, and we're thankful, very grateful that all of you are listening and taking the time out of your day just to be with us and listen to our story. You could be anywhere else, but you're listening to our story. We definitely appreciate you, and you can follow us on our socials at Where I Am Podcast. And if there's anything that you want us to discuss that we didn't touch on, or maybe you want us to for our future episodes, you can email us at whereampodcast@gmail.com.